We are David and Jessica Hayes, authors of the Hayes Guidebook to the Costa Blanca.
Today in our trusty Hayesmobile, we're going to be taking in the beautiful city of Murcia. But it won't be your usual visit to Murcia. We're going to be taking in the surrounding beautiful vistas that encircle this quite historic place.
So join us today as we discover more about what the Costa Blanca has to offer.
Are you ready, Jess?
I'm ready. Let's go in our Hayesmobile.
Let's go.
Oh, it's really good to come out and come to a place that we haven't been to before.
Very exciting, isn't it?
It is. We're just at Monteagudo on the outskirts of Murcia, and we come to see the statue.
Very much like Christ the Redeemer in Rio in Brazil.
It is, but what's really good about getting up high is the views that you get across the city of Murcia.
Brilliant. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, everyone will be getting out of bed, and here we are looking at that amazing vista.
The Valle Natural Park, which we're going to visit later. I'm really excited about going there and seeing the centre de Luz.
And the sanctuary as well. And of course the stunning basilica.
The cathedral in the middle of Murcia.
So lots to see and lots to do. But here we can see everything in front of us of what we're going to do. So what's the history behind this imposing statue then, Jess?
Well, this was the site of a Moorish castle that was built in about the 11th century.
Yep.
But then when the Christians conquered the area, they put this statue on top. Not this actual statue, the statue they put on top was taken down by the government in 1925, and this one was put up in 1950.
And can you walk to it?
Yes, you can.
Are we going to do it now?
I think we should.
Why not? Come on. In the distance, you can just see the little white blobs against the mountain ranges. That's the sanctuary of Fuensanta and the Valle Natural Park with the Centro de Luz, a fantastic visitor centre. And that's our next destination. One thing we love doing, Jess, isn't it? Combining something with something else. And here we have the city of Murcia day out with the beautiful Fuensanta Sanctuary, the home of the patron saint of the city of Murcia, Arechaca.
Arechaca, she comes twice a year, doesn't she? She has a pilgrimage in the spring and in the autumn as well, down into the centre of Murcia. This has always been a very holy area. Its name is thought to have come from Fuente Santa, from the waterfalls that the hermits that lived in the mountains used to drink from. There's lots of little caves in these mountains all dotted around, and at one point in history there was a lot of hermits living up here. Maybe it wasn't such a lonely life after all.
No, you're not wrong. And a couple of examples on the cliff face there, Jess.
Yes, prospective hermit caves. The church itself was built, or started building, in the 17th century. It was a marvellous place to have built the sanctuary. Look at the view that the sanctuary gets out over the city of Murcia.
It just gives you a real example of the sheer spread of the city of Murcia, doesn't it? It's
quite
huge.
Sprawling.
As far as the vista sees, you've got the E15 running right across the back of it. That's heading down to Lorca, back up to Alicante, towards the north, and all of these open plains in the middle.
If you hit it on such a clear day as we have, you're very lucky, but you can still see the smog, and that's what all the trees, the Carrascoy pines, help to keep at bay.
Quite clever, isn't it? On all of our travels throughout this series, we've seen quite a few little sanctuaries dotted up on hills, and not only, you know, coming here today to combine it with a trip to Murcia, this is a place in its own right to come to. Look at all these mountain walks you can do.
Well, you don't necessarily even have to go off the beaten track. You can actually walk along the road to our next point, the Centre de Luz, which tells you information about the mountain range.
Can't give too much away first, Jess. We've got to get in and have a look at these sculptures and paintings. And
normally you that gets carried away.
I know, but I'm getting into this today.
so we're inside now. It's pretty, isn't it? A bit dark though.
We need a bit of light. We've got a bit of excitement for our viewers now. When you come in here, you've got to pop a little euro into the machine and then voila.
And let there be light is what they said, and there it is. So you can see all of the paintings and sculptures as well. And it's this dome up here that's particularly famous. It depicts the life of the Murcian people. And you can see there's a painting of the sanctuary.
Yes.
So that's where we are. But it's the lovely colours, and I guess that's why they keep them so well preserved in the dark, etc.
So when you come up here, just take time to put your euro in the machine and just marvel at what this splendid, grand place can offer you. Let's have a look around. I've learned something today, and it's not something, to be fair, that's top of my list, museums and churches. But as you know, I always make the effort to come in and...
But this just isn't about a church,
No.
It's about the views, it's about the landscape, it's about the setting, it's about the history, it's about the painters, the sculptures, the building, the religion. It's everything all rolled into one. So we're a little bit higher now in the Valle National Park at the Visitors Centre, which was opened in 2004.
It's a beautiful modern building with 360-degree views from all around.
And what it's got around it as well is these wooden walkways, so you can explore the outside space as well as the inside and go and see the exhibitions.
That's really pretty over there, isn't it, Jess? It's like an enclosed little private hamlet within the Valle Natural Park.
There's a lot of religious buildings around. That looks like a monastery or a nunnery.
It has a lot of character. Surrounded by nature and all of these great walkways and cycle routes.
Bits of history as well. The signs up here, they're all in Spanish, but there's the footings of a building with some religious significance to do with purification of the water.
Right. Lots of history, lots of nature, great views, fresh air. And do you know what? What have we had every episode that we've done here on Viva TV?
Coffee.
And picnic! And what better place to have it than overlooking Murcia, our destination this afternoon. Come on, let's go and explore, Jess.
Murcia has flourished at two times, once during the Moorish occupation when they built all of the irrigation canals to make it into a fertile plain, and you can see from here quite clearly what a flat plain it was and how ripe it was for development as agricultural land. And then during the 18th century it flourished because of this boom in the silk industry, and it was at this time in the 18th century when it became really prosperous that most of the religious buildings and monuments were built. And it also became the capital of the province of Murcia during that century as well.
And what's beautiful about Murcia City, and my favourite place here, is the Valle and Carrascoy Natural Park. It gets its name, the Carrascoy, because it's full of the Carrascoy pine tree. It's a large natural park, Jess, isn't it?
Yes, it's about 17,000 hectares of mountain with the wildlife, and there's several kinds of eagles and other birds of prey, 5 different species of bats, lots of mammals, like things like the weasel and the wildcat, and a great variety of lizards and snakes, so just watch where you walk. Did you know that as far back as 1917 they started to preserve this as the lung of the city, because all of the plants take up the poison from the air, carbon monoxide, and change it into oxygen and help to keep the pollution down within the city. But it was included in the National Catalogue of Open Spaces in 1917, and it's been protected ever since. And more latterly, in 1992, it was granted the title of Protected Places of the Region. And what's great is that you can drive your car almost up to that point just up there that you can see with the tower on it.
And there's nothing better that for you and I we just love finding a road, going up a mountain and following it. The worst thing that can happen is you can't go any further, so all you got to do is turn around and drive back.
Can you imagine the views you get from there? I mean, they're awesome from here.
It's like people always say to me, how do you find these places? It's quite simple. Get in your car, drive up to it and see where it takes you. The worst you can do is get lost, but along the way, you'll be amazed at what you find.
You never think of Murcia having mountains and valleys. It's known as the breadbasket of Spain because there is so much agriculture here due to the moors and the construction of the irrigation channels. But just standing here, you can see what a lovely flat valley that is, and that flatness has been caused by the river Segura flooding periodically through history and making it nice and flat. And also the flooding of the river keeps the ground nice and fertile too because it puts nutrients into it.
We've been very lucky today. You can certainly see clearly now where we started the day today at Monteagudo. What a fantastic walk. I didn't, oh wow!
Oh, look at this waterfall. Oh, we've just started at the centre of Duluth about 20 minutes ago and it's all downhill. Uphill on the way back, mind, but downhill.
We didn't know it existed.
The people in the centre of Duluth told us about it, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Sant Antonio de Puebre. It's a little exhibition about the lives of the hermits that used to live in these mountains, and it's all in English too.
That'll be in this building here.
That's it. And they did tell us that there was a waterfall at the end.
Didn't you say as well that the presentation was beamed up into the dome itself?
Yeah, sounds exciting. I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to learning all about the lives of the monks in the mountains.
Yeah, I didn't know they existed. Look at that, Jess. Look back up there.
Oh, don't look at it too hard. We've got to go back up afterwards.
Hey, that'll be worth it, won't it?
So where are we off to now then?
Well, we've had a morning of history, beautiful religious places, natural beauty, which is your thing. For me, I like a tapas bar, a nice little pequeña of cerveza, and a good traditional Spanish atmosphere on a Saturday afternoon down in the city of Murcia.
Ah. So are we not going to include any of the plazas and the basilicas and the religious buildings and...
Jess, we will include those. We will go and do the Plaza de Plaza de Plaza de Plaza. In England, they call it the pub crawl. Over here, it's the tapas bar crawl.
Is it the plaza crawl?
Come on, we'll be like this on the way back.
Oh, so down in the city of Murcia now.
Absolutely great. What a twin day. Natural Park of El Valle and the hustle and bustle of real life Spain.
Murcia is a really lovely city with the river, the Rio Segura, at the heart of it.
It was flooded, wasn't it? 3 times, but the last time was in 1907, and then they realised from the flooding that, you know, major work was needed, wasn't it?
And they constructed this concrete canal so that the water could flow through and they could control the flooding as well. And now you can walk along either side that you want for a few miles or so through the city.
It's not quite like Florence, is it, Jess? But as you say, there's many bridges, all of different architecture.
They've made a big
along the
effort,
route.
and then they've put little sculptures in the water like that sardine or whatever it is.
For
It's
one.
a great view of the basilica from here.
Yeah, did you know that tower is 90 metres high, Jess?
No, I didn't, Dave.
And how many bells has it got?
I'm sure you know.
25 bells.
25.
Can you imagine all the people ringing those bells?
That would make quite a sound.
It would, wouldn't it? I've always been brought up that if you learn something every day, you can't go wrong. And here in Murcia, they're very good. They have things in Spanish and in English.
Tells you all about it. The bridge we've just been on, you wouldn't believe it, but it's dedicated to the Virgin of Dangers. Very strange to have a bridge dedicated to them. It's almost 300 years old, this one. They've had several bridges here since the 15th century, and a lot of them have been washed away, which is why it's obviously dedicated to the patron saint of danger, and it hasn't been washed away since it was dedicated to that. We're going to go and explore the city plaza by plaza, aren't we?
Yes, we're going to do the where there's lots of tapas bars, I hope.
Yeah, that's the thing about Murcia, is it's made of little tiny streets and little small plazas as well, and all the atmosphere is centred around that.
What building is that? Is that some kind of town hall?
Yes, Casa Constitucional. And then just beside it is the Bishop's Palace. And the back side of the Bishop's Palace is right in front of the cathedral, so it's only a short walk from here.
Let's go.
So this is the well-worn heart of the city. It's where all of the administrative and religious headquarters are.
Yes, the Casa Constitucional here at the heart of Murcia city centre.
This space was where there was originally a water wheel that used to supply the former inhabitants of the city, the first inhabitants of the city, from here. This is where they used to get their water from the Rio Segura.
And didn't Cardinal Beluga, wasn't he the main man behind the architectural design of the basilica that the square we're going to be going in to see?
His name will pop up all over the place. He's a very famous bishop because he was a warrior, but he was also in the peacetime. He went out and helped the locals in the fields and worked with them.
And it's a very iconic square, and whoever does visit through our guidebook will realise that the car park brings them right out here at the heart of Murcia, and this will be the first square that they fall upon.
The start of our square by square journey.
How long did it take to build this basilica, Jess?
4 centuries. The first stone was laid in 1388, and when they laid the stone they didn't have a complete plan for the whole cathedral, and they just started adding on bits and bobs as they went along, each bishop. So each bishop has their own design on the cathedral, and there's 23 chapels.
23 chapels in this. Well, I've seen some cathedrals in my time, but this one, wow!
It is the centrepiece of Murcia. It's the reason why everybody comes. But it's not the only thing.
And this is just one square on our guide today, which takes us from one into the other, into the next one. And the added attraction of having a fiesta today just adds to that flavour, doesn't it?
It is. It's a fiesta of international tourist interest, which is the highest that you can get. It's all to do with the ending of Lent and Easter. Just around the back of the cathedral in the Plaza de las Apóstoles.
Which gets its name from one of the iconic features within the cathedral. And the love of my life, Jess, food.
Food. It's what's so lovely about all these Murcian plazas, is they've all got their restaurants and they all have their tables out on the street.
And they're all enjoying the local cuisine, aren't they?
Oh, and there's some fantastic restaurants. Murcia, being the breadbasket of Spain, has some lovely cuisine.
Look down here, Jess, another plaza.
I know, it's just never ending. And what you must do when you're out in the city is not only look along, but look up as well.
Yeah.
Because of all the architecture.
Another plaza we fall upon. What's this one, Jess?
This is the Plaza de la Cruz, quite obviously, because of the cross in the middle, but also it's the side of the tower of the cathedral. It's the nice thing about all these plazas, they're so close together.
That's it. And when you're in Spain, do as the Spanish do, have a fiesta.
It's lovely today, all the children out playing, blowing their bubbles, blowing their drums. They were given toys as part of the fiesta. If you were doing it as a route by itself, it would take about 20 minutes. But as you're going to pause and stop and maybe have a coffee or two. Could take you all day.
Brilliant.
Oh, it's great, Dave. How many years have we been coming to Murcia and just walking past the entrance to the casino because they say they've been renovating it?
Time after time, and now it's open. Cannot believe the amount of money they've spent on it. It's fantastic. And if there's one place you're going to pay to come in, it's only how much, Jess?
It's only €3 per person, and you get a little guidebook with that in English or whatever language it is that you want. It tells you, takes you around, or you can pay more and have a guided tour on the phone.
Well, we're going to go in now and just give you a sneak preview of the ornate beauty that this building has to offer. Great, all these little narrow streets, Jess, isn't it?
That's what Murcia's all about, the little tiny streets and the boutiques and the plazas. This street's called Calle Plateado, and so that's the street of the silversmiths.
How interesting, and that's obviously in the old days was just full of silversmiths.
Yes, and the one with the casino on was the Trapieria, which is the street of the cloth makers.
Yeah.
And then there's also the Calle de Jambon, which is
Good
the
for
street
the
of the, soap makers.
Another narrow street, Jess?
Yes, this is the street of the soap makers that we were saying about. It's nice with all the signs above the shops, the metal signs. It's a really nice place to come if you really want a special outfit. There's so many boutiques around and beautiful, beautiful dresses.
See you in that, darling.
Yes, well, you have to take me somewhere so I can wear it. So this is the Plaza de Roma.
Or to you and I, where the theatre is based here in the centre of Murcia. There's a little tale behind this theatre, Jess, isn't there?
Yes, it was opened by Queen Isabella in 1862, but since then it's burnt down twice. This is the third version.
And the local tale is now, with this new refurbishment going on, that it's always going to be cursed with bad luck, as apparently it's built on the large remains of a huge graveyard.
There's a lot of other interesting buildings in this plaza, and you can see the information boards all dotted around to have a look to find out what the actual buildings are. This is the Plaza de Santo Domingo. It's reportedly the favourite plaza for the citizens of Murcia. It's where they hold most of their fiestas, apparently.
Good example today.
It is. It used to be where they held all their royal tournaments and their bullfights and their executions.
Really?
But what's the most amazing thing about the square is the tree. It's almost 120 years old and it is massive.
And we're nearly at the end of our plazas now, and more music, it's getting louder as we get more and more into the heart of the fiesta. So if you can't beat them, my philosophy is let's get in and join them. It's been a great day today, hasn't it?
It has. We've done so much. Started this morning at the statue.
Then we went to the Valle National Park for the Fuensanta Sanctuary, and your favourite place, the Centre de Luz.
Where we learnt all about the mountain and had the brilliant vistas over the city and down the valley.
And then we went down to the little chapel of San Antonio.
That's it, to the little hermitage and the waterfall.
And then we came down to here, fiesta time, in the beautiful city of Murcia.
But we didn't just arrive in the city, we went and had a look at the river and then at the cathedral, and then walked our walking route all the way through the streets and the plazas and finished up beside the big ficus.
And to be fair, we're a little bit bush now.
We did pack a lot in.
And it is fiesta time in Spain, and what does everyone do? They come and party. So if it's all right with yourselves, we'd like to join you on our next series. We hope you've enjoyed this one. We've had a lot of fun sharing our places.
We have, but in the meantime, I think we should go and party.
So it's time for cerveza.